Hey guys, so this is kind of a BIM manager tip or BIM coordinator tip, but when you constrain your model, you could potentially check out items that you don't intend to when you start messing with those constraints and so on. So I've got two models open. Well, the same model. I created it from a blank template and just loaded in some families. But I have two sessions of Revit open. This is in 2018, and I have checked in, or you can see up here up at the top, I'm not signed in. And then if we go to the options, we can see my name and then left. So Dalton Goodwin left. And then over here, we go to options. We can see Dalton Goodwin right. To give you some information to see kind of who's in a model, you could open up Worksharing Monitor, and it'll tell you, each person and if they're working in a local model. It'll also tell you if they're working in a central model. So you can see both options here. So I kind of want to show you some of these constraints and kind of work through seeing, what happens. So down here, work sharing display. If we turn that on, we can see the checkout status, owners, model updates, work sets, and so on. But if we just do owners, come over here and we'll do the same thing, owners. And say we're over here and the right one, and we go in here and we move this table, which is on work set 2. We can see now that I'm the owner of that piece of equipment. And then over here it updates, and we can see that as well in this model. And if we want to see those settings, we can go in here. These, let's just ignore these because then I was in there messing around with it with different usernames. So these don't apply, but you can see down here Dalton left and Dalton right. So the right one's red. We can see that down here. And then we can see Dalton Goodwin left, which is blue. So if I move anything over here, it should update with blue. And then we should see an update over here as well. And that's kind of nice to see because, that's a pretty direct look at how Revit talks to that central model constantly, because sometimes you forget that that's the case. But yeah, it's talking to it, and that information's getting updated pretty close to live. So you can see too, if I come over here, which this is my piece of equipment, I can shift this around, and this blue piece of equipment, which is associated with the left, it'll prompt me that I can't do anything with this. So what we'll look at here is the constraints. So over here on the left, we will take a look at this constraint. And we can see it's set to nothing right now. If we change this to width, we can see that it actually comes in and updates this. The reason why you're not so over here you can see it's entirely blue. The reason why you don't see that's the case for this is because the in this family there is a 3D element in it, but it doesn't show up in plan. It's actually just some lines in there to show in plan view. Which is also a nice little tip, is that helps with helps with the model being a little bit more efficient with it. It doesn't have to compute as much when it's generating those views, because it's just creating this line work. That's nice to do also when you're importing CAD into a family, and then for whatever reason need to bring it into Revit. Then setting up some visibility parameters to that is good to do, just to keep these these views lean as possible so that people can get in there and do what they need to. But you can see though, when we updated that, it checked out at least one of them. But if we go back and actually sync this, we'll say, okay, we can then go in here and, let's just turn it off. We can see it's checked out both of them. So do keep that in mind when you're messing around with these, that you could accidentally check out multiple elements. Again, over here, if we did the same thing, if we just turn that on, we can see that it actually checks out both of them. Come over here, we can see it updates. I'm going to sync this. And what we'll do is we'll test out and see what happens if we actually just update that global parameter. So when we go in here, we can see that that label is with, and we can edit that by going to the Manage tab, and then here in Settings, we can find global parameters, and then we can change this, which is going to update that wall. It may even update that equipment if that has the same label to it. Put 20. So we can see it doesn't check out anything, so we don't have to worry about updating the global parameters. It looks like we're fine to do that. If we go to Manage again, Settings, global parameter, see if this allows us. Yeah, so this element's checked out. We don't see that updating for that annotation. If we grab one of these and see if we can move the entire thing, we can see that that checked out. So it'll check out those individual global parameters, which I think is fine, just those dimensions. But the a lot of these elements, not the case. But if you come in here and then apply different labels to that, you could potentially override multiple elements, and even if there's things associated to this wall, like lights and so on. So I paused it, and I just wanted to quickly load in a wall-based family and see what happens if we update that global parameter. So if we go in here and turn on this, you can see it checks out these two walls, and then that hosted family is totally fine. It's still independent. You can still work with it. As soon as you move it, it'll update, and it's essentially yours. But you can, mess with these and not have to worry about that. I'm going to pause this and look at one more thing. All right, so I also loaded in a face space. So here we have a wall hosted element, so a wall-based family, and then we have a face-based family. They're both loaded in here, and you can see if I come up here and sync this model, that these elements will be relinquished. We see that in both models, or in both Revit sessions. If I go back here and just quickly update this global parameter, you can see we check out those two walls that are associated with it, but this wall-based and then this face-based family is totally fine, and it shouldn't be a problem. I'd like to know, if you find scenarios where that isn't the case. I would be interested in that. And let me know if I missed anything. Hopefully this gives you some insight into kind of how the model works. Also, if you saw that little preview here, or that little temporary properties or whatever, you can see that it says the work set current owner, which is Dalton Goodwin Wright, which is over there in the right session of Revit. Created by, so who created that, and then last updated it. But yeah, I mean, if you have this on, you can get a better idea of how these models are being created, who's doing what, and kind of get an idea of how it's progressing, just a little bit more information. So I'll see, we'll just change this to checkout status just to see a different view. And again, if you go down here, Workshared display, you can see checkout status is right here. And then you just have your different options. You can change these colors however way that you wanted or want to. And then if you want to show or not show colors, you may want to do that for yourself. I don't know. But yeah, keep that in mind. It's just a nice way to kind of see what's going on, see who has what, be a little bit more coordinated when you're creating your models. So let me know if you have any questions. Reach out anytime. I'd be glad to help. Let me know if I missed anything, if there's anything I should have added. And I appreciate you watching. Thanks.